Welcome to Beyond the Board, where we break bread with some of the most interesting industry leaders. I'm Sonia Gafsio-Blisk, Chief Merchandising and Marketing Officer of Whole Foods Market, and I'm honored to host in-depth conversations with some of the most innovative and impactful leaders in the food and beverage industry. Katherine Power, entrepreneur and co-founder of Avaline Wines, joins us today. She launched the Clean Wine brand in 2020 with actress Cameron Diaz, focusing on organic, vegan-friendly offerings. A dynamic entrepreneur, Power's portfolio extends well beyond wine. She serves as founder and chairman of Merit Beauty and Verse Skincare, while holding key leadership positions as operating partner at Sonoma Brands and partner at Greycroft. She also contributes her expertise as an advisor to the nonprofit organization Baby to Baby. She's a serial entrepreneur whose groundbreaking approach to commerce and media has earned her recognition on Fortune's 40 Under 40, Fast Company's Most Innovative Companies, Adweek's Creative 100, and Inc.'s Young Entrepreneurs to Watch list. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Board, Katherine.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you are an incredibly inspirational entrepreneur and leader. And I'm curious, at what age did you recognize your own leadership qualities?
Oh, well, thank you, first of all. I think I was just born with an entrepreneurial spirit. I wanted to work, from the time I knew what it was. My grandmother had a retail store, and I remember from, 9 years old on going in to work with her and, understanding what it took to make a sale to somebody and, using the cash register and understanding the taxes and the money of it all. And I just found it so interesting. But I always had some kind of a hustle going, whether it was putting on a performance in my neighborhood and selling tickets or using a toy kitchen I had to open a fake restaurant. There was always something, that was motivating me to build.
That's awesome. That is great to hear. So turning to Avaline, let's start from the beginning. So you're sitting around, you're having a glass of wine with a friend, and what happens?
So Cameron and I were just enjoying wine as two friends, as we often did. We would gravitate towards one another at events or parties, and we're real homebodies. We like to just hang out with our little community and have great food and drink great wine. And we were, debating whether or not we should open another bottle. And we started to talk about the way that wine makes us feel, right? And it's so inconsistent and, we're not sure why some days we feel okay after drinking it and some days we don't. And, we had switched everything in our lives to be sort of better for us, right? From our groceries becoming organic to our beauty products becoming clean, our household products becoming non-toxic. And we just started to question, what is in the bottle? Is it just grapes? We turned around the bottle and we were reminded that, wine has no nutritional facts. It has no ingredient list.
Yeah.
It's not governed by the FDA. So there's really no transparency in what is in the bottle and how it's made.
Mm-hmm.
And as curious people, Cameron is incredibly curious. We just set out on a journey to understand the winemaking process. We invited over a wine connoisseur to Cameron's house to walk us through the process, and we learned that there are over 70 ingredients that can be added to wine throughout the winemaking process without any disclosure to the consumer, some of which might be animal byproducts, which if you're a vegan, you just don't know that.
That's right.
Some of them can be colors and concentrates, like an ingredient called Mega Purple, which you see often in commercial red wines.
Yes.
That's often why you'll get, the sort of purple teeth or tongue because of that additive. So we were really floored and upset when we heard about this, right? Because we were doing all of these things in our lives to become, healthier, to make better choices.
Sure.
Yet we didn't know any of this. And so we started seeking out, I'll call it cleaner wine. We went to our local wine stores, grocery stores, restaurants. We started to ask, do you have any organic wine? Do you have any naturally made wine? Because we learned that those kind of signifiers meant that they followed certain practices, right?
Right.
That didn't include these additives. So people would look at us like we were crazy. They didn't know the answer. They would roll their eyes at us or say, it's just grapes, And cut to now we're, 4.5 years in, we have dedicated organic month at some of the retailers. We have dedicated sections on the menus for organic and biodynamic wines. I mean, it's totally changed. And, we felt compelled at the time to not just create a product for ourselves, but also to offer it to the consumer and educate them on what we had learned.
So there's so many new terms out related to wine, one of which is vegan wine. And folks would assume all wine is vegan. It's made of grapes, but as you noted, that really isn't the case. And so what is it in processing that would make a wine vegan or not?
So it's in the fining process of the wine, right, where they remove small particles out of the juice. And the fining process is often done with an animal byproduct. So it could be casein, which is a milk protein.
Sure.
It could be fish bladder protein. So if you're a vegan and you don't know this, that can be very disturbing to learn. There's no transparency into what's used. We use something called bentonite clay,
Okay.
which is a natural product that occurs, and we don't use any animal byproducts in Avaline.
And there's no way to know because the vast, vast majority of suppliers don't have nutritional facts and don't have ingredient lines. That's actually one thing I know you're aware at Whole Foods that we've been really focused on, particularly at least starting with our own private label business, is having both ingredient statements and nutrition facts. So we're proud of the progress we're making there. We're also a founding member of the Sustainable Wine Roundtable
Amazing.
to really help raise the bar, I'll say, overall for the industry, because I'm sure there's a lot of customers out there that have the exact same reaction that you did as they learn more about the industry and the space. So one more question, clean wine, like, is that something if I go into my Whole Foods and I'm looking for wine, how do I shop? How do I know Avaline is a clean wine? What does that mean?
So it's very similar to what I saw play out in the beauty industry. So before starting Avaline, I came from digital media, apparel, fashion, beauty, and, I have 2 clean beauty brands, Merit and Versed. And, much like beauty, there is not one governing party that establishes what it means to be clean. It's really left up to the retailers to create their own point of view around it, or the brands to create their own point of view. For us, clean wine starts with farming with organic grapes and an organic farming process. So, at the time at which we started Avaline, I believe the stat was that 90% of the vineyards in California farmed with harmful chemical pesticides. So, Roundup, basically. And, for those that don't know it, when you make wine, the grapes are not washed before they go into the barrel. So whatever is on the grape goes into the barrel. They allow the grapes to, rub together, or it's called macerate, right? To where you get the color and, the flavor starts to come out. So anything that's gone on that grape, whether it's a pesticide or something else, ultimately gets into that juice.
Yeah,
So that, on its own is very disturbing.
absolutely.
And so we really wanted to find, an abundance of organic land and grapes that we could start making wine from. And then, in order to be an organic wine in the United States, you have to be organic certified from wherever the organization is in the country that you're growing. That gives that certification. And then you have to keep your sulfites below a certain level. So Sulfites are a naturally occurring, uh, element of wine, but a lot of times, extra sulfites are added, right, for stabilization, almost like a preservative of sorts. And so, in order to be an organic wine, you have to be under 100 parts per million. Our wines are more in the 50 to 60 parts per million. So we try to be as low as possible. I mean, we really just have enough to get the wine from Europe
Sure.
to the United States and have it be consistent and taste wonderful. And then, any kind of ingredient that we use, like that bentonite clay I was talking about, has to be organic, and there cannot be any additives that are not organic.
That's great. That's awesome to
And
hear.
then, it goes to transparency as well. I mean, we consider that to be part of being clean. We list on the back of our bottles, the average analysis of calories and carb and the ingredients. And, really for us, it's incredibly important to be transparent, starting with the front of the label, which tells you it's made with organic grapes. It's okay to drink if you're vegan. And we have 0 sugar in these wines per glass.
That's outstanding. Awesome to hear. I'm going to pivot a little to kind of talk about some of your passions and leadership. So you've built so many successful businesses. Is there a common thread in your leadership style that you carry into each business?
I like to think I approach leadership like a coach of a sports team. So I have star athletes in every department that I've appointed, and I'm there to coach them. And they essentially have autonomy to make the right decisions because I've been able to hire the right people with the right kind of experience, and then I'm there to help them, with overall strategy. Whether that's, the long-term strategy of the business or on a specific deal we're making, and then to coach them through every day, help them make decisions, whether that's around supply chain, hiring, brand identity, marketing, etc.
Awesome. So one of my personal leadership principles is better crazy than lazy. Be heard, break the mold, take smart risk, and make a difference. What is the craziest idea you've had or one of your team members have had that's worked, or maybe one that you've loved, but you tried it and it didn't go so well?
Truthfully, it's probably Avaline, right? Because Cameron and I had 0 experience in wine or in the adult beverage business. And I always say, I know how to build a business, but, learning to build an alcohol business was like learning a foreign language.
Sure.
It is so unique in its laws and its processes and, the rules by which you have to market and disclose and operate and all of these things. And I think it was, because we had such a fresh perspective on the industry and didn't know a lot about it, that's why, we sort of were able to break through, not only, through to the consumer, but to disrupt a very old industry, and really champion this new standard of wine drinking. So, I mean, it was, we virtually and physically knocked on doors, the two of us in Europe. We found the best, multi-generational, family-owned vineyards and winemakers who have been making wine this way for generations.
Of
but
course.
they maybe never talked about it. They never put it on their bottle because historically, if you put organic on a bottle, you might end up in a strange section of Whole Foods, right?
Exactly. Or people don't think think it will taste different.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
But truly, these are from some of the best producers in Europe that our winemaker worked with. We had very specific ideas of what we wanted the blend to taste like, whether it was our rosé, our red, our white, or any of our varietals. But, to convince these serious winemaking families to work with two girls from Hollywood
Yeah.
was not as easy as you would think.
I can only imagine. That is awesome. Um, so all of the brands that you've created have launched with a minimalist influence, and they lean really into the wellness, sustainability, and healthy lifestyle. Uh, I'd love to know how you integrate health and wellness into your own life practices.
I do all the things.
Everything, all of it.
So,
Share.
yes,
Yeah.
from being as non-toxic in our household as possible. I obviously have created two clean, color cosmetics and skincare brands, and so everything I put on my body and face lives up to my clean standards, as well as, doesn't create inflammation, doesn't clog pores, all of those things. I do yoga. I work out, 3 times a week. I do acupuncture once a week. I take a copious amount of supplements, and am always, seeking out ways to prevent disease, to stay healthy, to live longer. And Cameron is the same way. We do all the things.
That is great.
But it's all about balance,
It's
right?
all about balance.
Because we still want to drink wine and have a good time.
Yes, and now you've found a solution for many of our customers. So
Yes,
I love the story.
I always say, Cameron and I text each other, nearly once a week, just to say, God, thank God we made Avaline, that we have this to drink and feel good about.
Yes.
And it's delicious, and it's just so light and easy to drink that I'm just grateful. It's a fantastic business, but I'm just grateful we have it in our lives now.
That's great to hear. So I'm going to take us to our lightning round, everyone's favorite part, rapid fire questions. First one, all-time favorite Avaline varietal.
I would have to say our white blend and our rosé. It's very hard for me to choose. It's like choosing a favorite child. Those two are tied for me.
Okay, awesome. Grape that failed and surprised you.
We haven't had a grape fail yet, knock on wood. We do exhaustive, testing and focus grouping before we put something out. But I think the grape that surprised us the most was a grape we had never heard of, and it's called Xarello.
Oh,
And it's a Spanish grape that we found when we were looking to make our white wine. Cameron is someone who prefers more of a Sauv Blanc. I like something a little closer to a Pinot Grigio.
okay.
We knew we had a lot of Chardonnay drinkers out there, and we stumbled across this grape when we were in Spain, and somehow it has this light, minerally taste that can appease any white wine drinker, whether you love an oaky Chardonnay or a really crisp, acidic Pinot Grigio. Cameron and I fell in love with it at the same time. It was so hard to agree on a direction for the white. So I would say Xarello has been really exciting discovery for us.
Awesome. Thank you. So what is the best advice you've ever received?
Just to get started. If you are wanting to start a business or a new brand, just putting one foot in front of the other every day and chipping away at it. Sometimes I also have to mull over things before I actually put something into action. And to me, that's part of the process.
Yes.
So that's not necessarily advice I've been given, but something I've learned about myself, that it's actually part of the creative process to think about something, mull it over, and then you just take these baby steps, and ultimately those baby steps turn into bigger steps. And before you know it, you have a brand and a trademark and a business plan.
That's great. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Early bird, coffee or tea?
Matcha.
Matcha. Ooh, I'm with you on that one, actually. First 30 minutes of your day.
Gratitude and my kids.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Favorite holiday?
Probably Christmas.
Any tradition or ritual that's especially important to you?
I would say my gratitude practice in the morning is really important to me, as well as my acupuncture that I've been doing for about 15 years now, once a week.
Two very good things. What is your earliest memory related to wine?
Probably a very French rosé that was an exciting new discovery for me at some point, because rosé wasn't a big thing when I was in my early 20s,
Yeah.
in Los Angeles. It kind of came, over from Europe, and, I remember tasting it and thinking, "What a delightful summer drink."
What's next for Avaline?
We are scaling rapidly in the United States. We have doubled distribution year over year. And so we are working closely with our retail partners like Whole Foods to make sure that, we're getting everything you need and everything to the store, and listening to our consumers. About 20% of our business is direct to consumer. So we do have that direct relationship with our customers through our e-commerce site. So really understanding that data to know what to create next.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you, Catherine, for going beyond the board with us today. Your leadership style combined with your instinct for identifying white space and creating innovations that meet real needs is truly impressive. I appreciate you sharing your insights with our listeners today. Through intention, innovation, and integrity, Catherine Power has established Avaline as a new category in the white space. The vegan, organic, clean wine industry has reshaped what customers are expecting in their glass. Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Board. Until next time, keep supporting brands that are making our food system better, one sip at a time.